Yes, people, welcome back to the Tone Show. We rescheduled it twice this week, so big up to everyone for bearing with us, man. We've both got busy lives. I'm sorry for being late as well. I've only literally just got back today, been a mad day. And big up to Tone for being able to fit in 5 p.m. because this is literally the only hour in the day that I could do a stream today. And Tone's managed to fit it in his diary, so big up to Tone for coming on. Let's have a look who we've got in the chat then today. Big up to Nabil, good to see you, man. Big up to Sai, big up to Tony. Big up to Laz's here, big up to Martin from the Mancunian Way, big up to Nitin, Alvida Zane, City 9320s here, big up to Jimmy Grimble, Mank Ninja, Del Az here, big up to Football Edits, Tyrese, Subhotty, Karl Tominator, Robert Ward's here as well. Hope you guys are all doing well. Do us a favor, please smash a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you're following Tone on Twitter, or X as it's known now, at MCFC Tone. True City fan coming with a super chat before the stream even started, by the way, and said, Chelsea need to be humbled, please. Well, we need to win. We absolutely need to win. But before we get into it, how are you doing, Tony? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, and you?
Yeah, I'm well, but I'm feeling a bit of pressure this week because, you know, we play after Liverpool and Arsenal. Obviously, they both play before us on tomorrow, and I really think that like we've got to the part of the season now where you've just got to win. Every game's got to be a win. Now, obviously, if Liverpool and Arsenal lose or whatever, like it might be different. But like obviously, I expect them both to win. I feel like the pressure part of the season starts now.
Yeah, it does. I think we will have to win pretty much every game for sure. Tomorrow is a game that we really have to win, because it's a winnable game. And although Chelsea have had a poor season, they have players that can hurt us for sure. Certainly some pacey players on the counter, and they have potential in that team. It's just they've massively underperformed for a team that have spent, as I always say, $1 billion in a year, which seems to upset Chelsea fans, but it's true. But yeah, really difficult game. But like you said, it's after Liverpool and Arsenal. Liverpool are at Brentford, aren't they? Arsenal are at Burnley.
It's away, but
well, if Company can do it, I'll put him as my profile header for a week or something. So there you go, Company. if you wanted an incentive, I suspect both of those will win. Liverpool one's tricky, although we fairly comfortably beat Brentford, but that could be tricky for them. But Arsenal will beat Burnley. Burnley can't defend. It's just not. And Arsenal are on fire at the moment. To be fair, they're playing they were excellent last week at West Ham.
Yeah. What's your thoughts? In fact, chat, you answer this as well in the chat. If you're watching back on the replay, give us your thoughts in the comment section. I heard Paul Merson on Sky Sports the other week speaking about how he actually feels that in this title race scenario, now that we're getting into the business end, that actually playing at 12:30 on a Saturday, playing first, playing before the other teams is actually beneficial. We've obviously heard Jurgen Klopp this season moaning about the 12:30 kickoffs, but it does give you the chance, doesn't it, to get your 3 points on the board and transfer that pressure onto the other side. Where are you at? Like, are you bothered about where you play? Would you rather play first? Would you rather play last? Like, what's your sort of take on it? Because for me, I agree. I think playing first is better because you have the chance. The difference between first and not playing first is you have the chance to get away from the others or close the gap. So Liverpool play first tomorrow. They have the chance to extend the gap. That means that Arsenal at 3:00 have to win because they can't afford for that gap to extend. And City at 5:30 have to win. Whereas there's nothing that City can really gain at 5:30 unless Liverpool lose. But obviously the pressure's on City. Like, where are you at with the whole scheduling of fixtures and stuff?
I would rather City play first. I know people don't like early kickoffs, travel and all that. So take all that out of the equation. I want City to play first, hopefully get the win and put the pressure on the rest. Obviously, if you don't, you then sat there going, bloody hell, we need them to drop points. But ideally, I trust City to get the win. Well, not ideally. I trust City to get the win. Ideally, they get the win. And then you can sit back. I'll be honest, I love the 12:30s. It's over for 2:30. And I know a load of people disagree with me on this, but at 2:30, if you've won, like we did last week or whenever it was, you just sit back the rest of the weekend. you can look at the results. If Liverpool and Arsenal win, so be it. But it doesn't matter because we did our job, and that's absolutely key. So tomorrow, when or if they both win, which is probably likely, it's completely different feeling at 5:30 because then it's us under the pressure. They've won. We now have to win. And always first, always first, 12:30. It'd be interesting to see what people say in the chat on that, actually.
A lot of people are disagreeing. A lot of people say don't like the early kickoffs. And listen, I don't like the early kickoffs, but I'd rather play before the opponent, before our rival. And if that means playing at 12:30, then I'd take it. LB says Chelsea have got so many players out injured at the moment. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean they've had injuries all season. I mean, before we get on to City and maybe our starting 11, Tom, what's been your take on Chelsea this year? Because I think they've been massively disappointing. I think I didn't really expect a lot from them, but to be where they are, I think is shocking. There have been though, and I think you sort of alluded to this right at the start, is there have been a couple of games where they've looked decent, and they do have a few players that on the day could hurt us. You know, you look at I don't know the full injury list. I'll get it up now, but the likes of Nkunku, even Cole Palmer, Sterling on his day could and he actually ripped Kyle Walker at Stamford Bridge. Like, what's your take on Chelsea?
Very disappointing overall. I think the mid-table. It's weird because they didn't have a bad team to begin with before they went out and spent this sum and got this new owner. You know, they didn't have a team that was in the bottom three. And then suddenly, it takes time and so on. They had a pretty good team, and they've somehow, I don't know how they've managed it, but they've somehow got worse on paper, in the league. So overall, they look disjointed, they look poor. Some of the signings don't look particularly good. But I still say they do have some players, and they could turn up on a day like tomorrow, or perhaps the cup final they've got the following week, where they could step up the level. Chelsea have got players that are, in my view, underperforming, I think, and it's not just Poch's fault, but he is certainly deserves some of the blame because that team is underperforming, and people say, he's got 20 odd new players, and they should be doing better no matter what with that. With that list of players there, better than, I don't know where they are, 10th, 11th, or where have you. But overall, disappointed in Chelsea. Not disappointed they're doing badly. I don't really care if they do bad, but disappointed. I thought they'd be better than they were. I think most people probably did. And I saw them at Villa in the Cup, and they were fantastic. Looked really, really good. Villa was sort of a bit half into it, but Chelsea were really good. And that was only a couple of weeks ago.
They were good that day. I mean, what do you make of this? Thiago Silva confirmed by Mauricio Pochettino of being out of the game. It was a bit of a last-minute sort of test. You know what I mean? It looked like that maybe he was having a fitness test today, but he's confirmed Thiago Silva out, who, despite being 38, 39, whatever, is still one of the best centre-halves in the league for me. I think he's absolutely fantastic. He's out, which means who's their centre-back's going to be? Will it be Badiashile? Who's going to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, they must have some with the squad they've got.
Oh no, Badiashile's out as well. In fact, Si's put these predicted 11 here: Disasi and Colwill. Surely you've got to favour Erling Haaland against Disasi and Colwill.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm looking at that team from Si there. Yeah, I mean the forward line concerns me a little bit because there's pace on there, especially Sterling, and
that is a bit worrying. That is a bit worrying.
And then Nkunku, is that how you pronounce it? I'm sorry if I've mispronounced.
No, that's how you say his name. Yeah,
yeah, he looks good in the little cameos I've seen. He's quick. We played him when he was with Leipzig, didn't we?
He's got a hat-trick against us, hasn't
he? Yeah, there you go. So we'll forget that one. But yeah, I'm looking at that team at the back. We've got to be getting at that. I mean, that entire back line's dodgy, to be honest. Casido, Enzo's okay, but yeah, the pace on the break definitely concerns because that is our weakness. We've said that on this show. Every City fan knows that. We all know what City's weakness is getting hit on the break, but yeah, that back line, like you said, can be got at, and the players we've got, I'd let Doku go at it.
Yeah, well,
Just
we'll get into a starting 11 in a second, but I
Mm.
mean, you are right. I mean, it looks like Chelsea's defense is probably going to be really gettable. You know what I mean? And obviously, Petrovic, the guy who's in net at the moment, I've only watched him, I think, twice, but he does actually look like a decent keeper. I don't know where he came from because I'd never heard of him before, to be honest with you. And then all of a sudden, I've heard a couple Chelsea fans on YouTube channels say, "Oh, he's actually pretty good." I'm like, yeah, they're probably just waffling here because they've had Sanchez. And then I watched him a couple of. He actually pulled off some decent saves. So I'm like, okay, maybe they've got like a decent goalkeeper there. But obviously, you look at the back line. Malo Gusto, I think, is a very good player and a player that he's obviously very good going forward. Again, I've not really seen him too much defensively. I don't know how good Malo Gusto is in the defensive situations. Maybe someone in the chat can give us a bit of a hint. But yeah, Disasi and Cole will obviously very young, and I think he's had a bit of a tough time this year as well. Cole will, and Disasi don't look great to me. So I definitely think that their defense we can get out, and obviously Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland as a combination. Surely we can create a few chances there tomorrow. However, I completely share your concern about City's defense and obviously Chelsea's attack there with the pace, balls in behind. You know, City's defense. We spoke about this to death, haven't we? You know, how many times do you have to speak about this tomorrow? You know, I mean, we're playing against a team where the previous match at Stamford Bridge, we dropped the worst defensive performance I think I've seen from this City team in a long, long time. So we need to put in a good performance tomorrow. But listen, Tone, I'm confident. I know our defense has had a few issues here and there, but I think the defense looks to me like it's getting better. Bar that Edison mistake against Copenhagen, I thought we defended really, really well. And I know people might say, oh, it's only Copenhagen, but look, give Copenhagen their dues. They did qualify out the group with Galatasaray, Bayern Munich, and Manchester United. And I do feel that in the last couple of games, I'm seeing signs of improvement in our defence, even though against Brentford, the goal we conceded was poor, and the goal that we conceded against Copenhagen was poor. What's your thoughts on the defence? Because that is probably for me now the last concern about this City team.
Yeah, I had quite a few people messaged me the other day saying about after Copenhagen said it's defence clean sheets, defence clean sheets. It was just a flow of stuff. It was a bad goal, Edison's error, which he rarely makes them, but he did make a big one there against Copenhagen. To be fair, the finish is bloody top drawer as well. How many put that in the corner from 20 yards like that? You know, but I'd be more concerned if we. And I'd been far more concerned if we were conceding chances. But I went back and had a look at, I think, the last 6 games, I think it is, and we've conceded 8 chances. Now, that's just over a chance a game. I don't see the issue with the defence. I think we're making silly errors. Nearly every goal we concede is our mistake. Brentford, like you said, Copenhagen, and I think one at Newcastle possibly. And they're through our fault, but they're always finished well, which really annoys me because, you know, you see the chances teams are missing against United and Liverpool. You know, they're missing from 6 yards. Burnley missed 3 sitters against them last week. And you just sat there going, that's us. Everyone is banging in off the bloody crossbar. So to get to your point of defence, I'm not overly concerned. I just wish they would stay switched on for the 90, but we're not conceding many chances. And that includes going to Tottenham, where they had one shot, a total shot.
That's more evidence. That's more evidence for me again that this defense is improving as a whole. I just think either we're just switching off a little bit, which seems to be the more likely thing. Like if you go back at the goals, right? Copenhagen, right? Silly mistake from Edison. It's still a fantastic shot, right? Yeah, but it's a silly mistake. The Brentford goal just switched off. The Burnley goal again just switched off towards the end. Tottenham, we didn't have a single shot against us, or maybe one. And then Newcastle was the last time for me that we didn't defend particularly that great. So, you know, that's for me now 5 games in a row that I think we've defended quite well, but there have been maybe 1 or 2 individual things within a 90-minute segment. And let's be honest, I'm not asking for perfection, by the way. I'm just trying to like eliminate the bozo genes and eliminate those bozo moments on that stupid moment that sometimes creeps into like, I don't problem. It's a game of football. You're going to concede goals, right? And sometimes you are going to make mistakes. It's just it seems that the couple of the mistakes that we've conceded recently are really poor. Like really, I mean, like the goal against Coldplay were really poor for Medicine. The goal against Brentford really poor. The goal against Burnley, we just switched off. That's it. I'm not sitting here saying we must 100% get clean sheets every game. I'm not delusional, despite what some people might think. But but I do think we're getting better. I think Ruben Diaz has improved recently. I think Kyle Walker's improved recently.
Yes,
obviously, Gvardiol's out, so he's going to have to play Ake at left back, which is going to help as well.
Gvardiol, Ake, I was going to make a point of, because Pep said a few times that he can't play 3 games in a week. Well, he's going to have to, if he plays tomorrow, I think that would be 3 in a week, and then we're playing Tuesday, and then so if we got after this one, I got a Bournemouth, I think, on the Saturday or Sunday. So he could be playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in 2 weeks and Gvardiol won't be back before then. So he may. I'm sure I've seen Rico Lewis play at left before. I'm not saying I'm a fan of it, to be honest, but I'm positive Rico's played out left in a game before and then inverted inside, but primarily left. So don't be surprised if we see that. I wouldn't have thought tomorrow, but Tuesday, because if Ake can't play those games, someone's going to have to come in. I can't see it being Stones or Diaz. I'm just trying to go through the back line. Won't be Walker. Rico's maybe the only option, or but perhaps John Stones and inverting like Rico would. But again, John Stones can't play many games either. So we're in a bit of a funny one at the back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, let's have a look at some of the press conference comments, and then we'll do the predicted 11.
Great.
So let's see what he's had to say this morning, Pep Guardiola. Okay, here we go. So Jack Grealish, you probably can't see that. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm doing. I'm thinking everyone's got 20/20 vision. Right, here we go. Jack Grealish and Gvardiol ruled out of City's game this weekend against Chelsea. Bernardo Silva to be assessed today, confirms Pep Guardiola. Kovacic and Gomez are available. Have you heard anything about Bernardo Silva?
Yeah, he is there. Whether he is full training or not, I don't know, but he's definitely there. Well, I mean, it says he's to be assessed, so I guess that's kind of obvious, but he's definitely on, what do we call it, the campus. So the training pictures will hopefully come out later. They don't always, but hopefully, or, might hear something a bit later about Bernie, but he's definitely there. That's a good sign. Because obviously if he wasn't, that would definitely mean he's out. I saw him afterwards, on the telly, after the Copenhagen game, saying to Haaland, it looked like he'd said he was fine. He was sort of pointing to his ankle, saying, he was sort of doing a wave like, it's fine, like that. So hopefully he is fine. It's the problem is it's where he's been hurt. It's the next day that is the issue. It's not so much that evening, if you see what I mean. Bad ankle problems. It's how it reacts the next day.
It was a bad tackle, wasn't it?
Awful tackle.
I thought it was a red card, mate. I don't know if you've seen it back.
Yeah, red card. Yeah, and they had VAR, didn't they? They don't give a toss. I can guarantee you the other way they'd be reviewing that non-stop. Sorry, that's my conspiracy theories again. But Bernie, he is on there, so hopefully we'll hear something later tonight. But with the midfield we've got, I love Bernardo, but would he start tomorrow anyway? Who knows? So it's pet roulette at the moment because there's so many games. And if there's even a slight risk with his ankle, I don't think he'll start tomorrow, because why risk it when you've got the other players that we have? There's no need with the amount of games coming up.
I thought this is quite an interesting comment, because it kind of sort of matches what Martin said with the super chat. Big up for the super chat, mate. It says, I ain't bothered about what others do. We have this 4P. I believe we will do it. Only City can stop City, as Pep said. Hashtag 4P on. And that's kind of what Pep's saying there in the comments, The fact that there are 3 teams in the title race makes no difference. We have to win our games, which is very true. At the end of the day, we win all our games. We win the league. It's in our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Just say Martin's a lovely guy. Yeah, I spoke with him on Twitter and quite a few times. Yeah, City... It's a bit funny. Yeah, I think I was one of many, so I certainly weren't the first, but one of many that said City's biggest opponents this year are City themselves. In my view, we're the best team. Of course, I'm biased, but we have the best team, we have the best squad, we play the best football, all the stats back us up, we're dominating games, all the rest of it. We're getting better as we go on the season. We've done it pretty much every year under Pep. So yeah, I think what Pep's saying there is, as he normally is right. We've just got to keep winning our games. At the end of the day, you win all your games, you win the league. I don't think all three teams will win all their games. I think there'll be points to be dropped along the way. Certainly Arsenal, which I'll just throw this in actually. And it's quite funny that I put out a poll before Arsenal played West Ham, and this is just my poll, so it doesn't really matter. So I just threw it on, and it's about, I don't know, 600-700 votes or whatever. So it's not that many. But Arsenal, I said, who's going to win the league essentially? And Arsenal had about 20%, I think, of the votes. After West Ham, when they smashed them and were excellent that day, went down to 11%. So it was like people had watched Arsenal that day when they were brilliant and gone, they've got no chance. So there you go. It's in City's hands, as Martin alludes to. City, we've been here before, but as I say, I still think all three teams will drop points, and that two of them will, at least two, will have to anyway, because we're all playing each other and so on.
Yeah, very true. This is Pochettino's record against Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola's record against Pochettino, all competitions, and it goes back to the days of Barcelona and Espanyol. The record, Pochettino, out of how many games was this? Let me see. 23 matches, has won 4, drawn 6. So he's only lost 13 out of 23, which, considering Pep's always had like more dominant teams, I suppose it's not the worst record in the world from Pochettino, is it?
It's not at all. So am I reading that right? Poch has won 4 of 23.
That's correct.
But only, and lost 13. So yeah, that's compared to some of the others. That's not bad at all. Although Poch, I suppose he was at Saints, wasn't he? But he was at Spurs, Paris, and Chelsea now. So he's not a bad teams himself.
Sorry, Tom, just to interrupt quickly. I mean, if you can, just to prove that sort of like he's actually got a decent record against Pep Guardiola, if you compare it to Mourinho, he's lost 11 against Mourinho, but he's only played 16. Whereas City's lost 13, but played a lot more. You know what I mean? So he's done. I mean, listen, he's still lost more games than he's played, but more than half the games that he's played. But it's not a terrible record. What do you think it is that Pochettino does with his team setup that we've struggled, or do you just think that like is there no real like? Sometimes you can look into this stuff and it's just random, or do you think that there is something that Pochettino does with his team setup that makes him successful?
Yeah, I do. I think it's because, and he said this in his press conference, I think it's today or yesterday, he said that they won't show any nerves or something along those lines, and basically said, we're going to go there to attack. I know some managers say that and then they set everyone back, but he does. And Chelsea they won't just sit there with everyone behind the ball like the 4-4. They'll just come out and go, look, we're going to give you a game here. We're going to come out for good or bad. Very similar to Jurgen Klopp, which is why, Liverpool's home record is good against us. Obviously, at our place, it's the opposite. But I think it's very similar that they will come to play, and the differences between them coming to play and perhaps Burnley is that Poch manages teams that have players that can match us at times in games, and have players like we saw with that Chelsea 11 up front that can definitely punish us, no doubt at all. Very similar to Klopp in that sense, I think.
Yeah. Listen, I agree. I think listen, he's a good manager. Well, I think he's a good manager, but like he's not won anything, and that's really, really hindered him. You know, I genuinely think winning the Carabao Cup against Liverpool, which obviously no one really expects them to do. Everyone expects Liverpool to win that game, but if he wins that, I genuinely think that'll do him the world of good in terms of managerial hierarchy. Because yes, he plays decent football. You know, yes, he seems like a good manager, but at the end of the day, he had a really, really, really good team with Spurs. Yeah, let's not get it twisted. He didn't have a crap team. He had one of the best strikers in the world. He had Heung-min Son. He had, I think he had who else did he have? He had, I think, Ericsson for a time there as well. He had
Yeah.
a couple of other good players. He had Lloris, who I don't particularly rate, but he was the French #1 goalkeeper. He had a couple of good defenders in there. And he won nothing. He won absolutely nothing. So that's my major issue with it. And that's why I kind of just, when people want to speak about him and say stuff like, oh, he's a great manager, he's this and that, I kind of have to sort of hold back and push back and say, well, chill out. Because, you know, whilst he does play good football and he gets the team playing well, he's not won anything. So we'll see how he gets on. Anyway, let's go for a starting 11, Tom, because this week it's actually a bit interesting because we're having to deal with a few injuries, as we spoke about before. Of course, as well, we've got Brentford coming up in a couple of days as well, and that's obviously a must-win game because that's the game in hand. That can be the one that seals us to go top of the table. So, you know, we need to utilize our players very, very carefully in these games because obviously we want to win both of them, and we need to maybe have one eye on the Brentford game. But give me a back four. What are you doing at the back?
Yeah. So let's go. This I did it just to say I did a predicted 11 earlier for Thingy, but that's the one I think Pep goes with. So this will be the one I would pick.
This is Tone as the manager. This is the Tone show, guys.
Oh,
so this is if Tone's the manager. So when Pep Guardiola leaves, maybe Tone can step into the hot seat.
Like someone said last week, I'd relegate us. Karl Walker at right, I would do for tomorrow because
he's been playing well. He's been playing really well recently.
Yeah, he's got his head back on, I think. At Chelsea's pace, he's a must. Absolute must.
Struggled against Sterling at the Bridge. He needs to have a good game tomorrow if he's up against Sterling.
Cool, yeah, that's one of Sterling's best performances as well. He was unbelievable that day. But yeah, Walker was, I don't know where his head was that day. But yeah, I think he'll start, and I'm sure Walker will play well. Oh, at the back, here we go. I know what I just said about Ake, 3 games and all that. I'll go Diaz, definitely Diaz, who by the way, was brilliant again in midweek.
Yeah, he's really picked up his game as well. You know, there's no surprise to me that these two players, guys, who I think have had a mediocre season, to be honest with you, at best, have recently started defending well in the last 3-4 games. And earlier on, if you've just joined us, we had a look at our sort of last 5 matches, and despite conceding 1 or 2 poor goals, we've defended quite well, I think, and there's no surprise to me that started to happen when these two players on the pitch right here have started defending well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I just saw some chat comments and just people putting their 11s and Walker left back. I saw. So let's go with Ake. I'll go at left. I'm just going to have a little think about that centre. So yeah, Ake at left. I know what I said about 3 games, and everyone go, "Oh, you just said." I'd rest him if you're going to rest him at home to Brentford, not tomorrow. Chelsea. I know the table. Actually, no, Chelsea are above Brentford, but yeah, Chelsea's a more difficult game. And Akanji, I think, will go at the back as well. I don't think it'll be Stones because he's just played. And I know I'm kind of stepping on my point with Ake, but I'd be more concerned with John Stones because we've seen him break down many a time. If Stone starts tomorrow, he won't be Tuesday. I think that's probably the same with Ake, but I think that's possibly the back 4. So if someone wants to put in the chat that I'll relegate us with that back 4. That's no worries.
It's funny actually because that's the same back 4 that played against Chelsea bar Ake because it was Gvardiol. And the only player that day that played well in that back 4 was Akanji. He was the only player. Walker was poor. Diaz was poor. Gvardiol wasn't great either. But Akanji was the only player that played at Stamford Bridge that could come off the pitch with his head held high. The rest of them were really bad, to be honest with you. So yeah, interesting. I kind of agree. I'd be a little bit hesitant about playing John Stones tomorrow and against Brentford. So you got to pick one of them. And maybe Brentford might come and maybe a little bit more resolute, be a bit more difficult to play against, and you might want to step him into the midfield. So, guys, let us know in the chat. You playing John Stones in this game? Let us know in the comments section. Okay, let's move into the midfield, Tom. What are we doing here?
Midfield, Rodri, of course. That goes, yeah. He's in. Oh, now then. Right. De Bruyne, please.
It's got to be De Bruyne, hasn't it? It's got to be De Bruyne.
Yes, De Bruyne's got to play. He always rinses Chelsea as well, so he's got to play.
Yeah, he's got a good record.
Now, Kovacic is back, isn't he? Grealish is out.
Yeah.
Nunez is fit. I would have Doku on the left, please.
Oh, okay. This is an exciting team, this.
Sod it, you got to go for it against that Chelsea back line, I think. Would I play Alvarez? I'd have Foden in as well. I know he's played a lot lately, but tomorrow is not the day to rest.
Where would
So
you play him? Because obviously, if
Yeah.
Bernardo's not available, are you going to play midfield? Are you going to play Foden in the midfield, or are you playing on the right? Do you play him in midfield, or are you going to play on the right hand side? That's the question.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just looking in my team. I think Pep went with. I didn't have Doku, and I had Kovacic in there. I don't think I had Bernardo actually, and I had Alvarez. Alvarez didn't play in the week,
No,
which says to me he will play this game. So, oh God. Now I'm going to put Alvarez, if okay, out on the right. I can imagine people looking at this going, oh, my Lord.
yeah.
But he's not going to play on the right all the time. Like we said last week, De Bruyne will come out there and so on, and they'll all switch it round. And Foden in the middle with De Bruyne. And Haaland, obviously, up top.
Okay. I think that Foden plays right wing tomorrow.
Okay.
And I think he will play, if Bernardo's not available, I think he'll play Kovacic in the middle.
Right, yeah.
And I think he'll really try and get players in that midfield, and maybe he'll push a Kanji and have a Kanji, Rodri, De Bruyne and Kovacic. Now that does put a little bit of pressure on Kevin De Bruyne, because then he's your only one in there who can really create, other than maybe Rodri. But again, I kind of don't bank on Rodri doing it because he's not meant to do it. You know what I mean? I mean, a couple of people in the chat, big up to Tyrese as well, says, what about Oscar Bob?
Yeah, I think Tuesday maybe. I'm more concerned with the Brentford one. With the Chelsea one. I just saw somebody I think you have on your show, isn't it? Is it El Nobbins on there?
Nobbins, yeah.
Yeah. I just saw his thing about Foden will have to play out wide. Oh, yeah. If Walker goes to right wing with the ball and so on. I saw your show of him. It was really good, the last one. But that's why I went Alvarez, because I think he will cut in, and I think Walker will go forward against Chelsea. Obviously, not too much. Oh God, now I'm questioning myself now.
I think that'd be honestly. I think that'd just be ridiculous if we asked Walker to do that.
Yeah,
he's finally been playing better in this more sort of central position, a more defensive position that that he played last year, and to throw him up and push him up the pitch against a really fast counter-attacking Chelsea side. I think I genuinely think that'd be wild.
I tell you what, I'm very sorry to go back on it, but yeah, no, I'm gonna.
It's crumbling, guys.
This is why I should never be in charge, and why my assistant will be saying, I don't know, Tone, goes, yeah, rip it up, start again. Let's get Alvarez out, Foden on the right, if that's okay. I've bottled this massively.
You bottled it, man.
And let's get Kovacic in there. Go on, let's put him in there next to De Bruyne. I love Kovacic. I know he's only just back.
Yeah, I think that's the team he'll go for.
Yeah,
depends. Obviously, I don't know what he does in the defense. He might play Kanji, he might play Stones, who knows, right? But other than that, I think that's pretty much the unless he doesn't play Doku.
Yeah,
and doesn't play a left winger like he's been doing. But then you've got to ask Ake to do the Gvardiol role. And can he do it? Because and then we'll see if because obviously there's a lot of debate at the moment about if what Gvardiol's doing on that left hand side is actually difficult or not. Because a lot of people underestimate how people are saying it's easy. He's not even doing anything, but he could potentially look at throwing Ake up there into the Gvardiol role, and then you can play Alvarez. And then you can have him maybe floating in around because you're not playing the left winger. Now, what that said about Doku, it's not particularly great for Doku that you're the only left winger and he's not playing you, but he could potentially do that. But again, is he going to trust Ake? Is he going to trust Ake in the Gvardiol role?
Yeah, that's actually the lineup I had on for the one I think Pep will go with. I think he'll go for that with no Doku and Alvarez coming in. So, yeah, I like the one that I eventually got to, although I will credit Nobbins on there as well, because he threw me big time there with his comment, and I was second guessing myself. But I think he's right. I don't want Karl Walker anywhere near the right and the
No,
right wing.
that'd just be ridiculous if we did that. To be honest, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
We've got to keep Kyle Walker back. You've got to keep him in the right position and in the position to be able to defend. You know, not going forward. And listen, you don't need him to. When you've got all this attacking talent on the pitch, you don't need him bombing forward. You know, so
No.
yeah.
And-
Listen, it'd be interesting because if you remember the team that he put out against Chelsea, it was a very aggressive side. And you know, we lost the midfield battle. And I think that day, I genuinely think that day, Pep Guardiola just completely just thought this Chelsea side are ass. Let's just go and score a load of goals. And to a certain degree, his strategy worked because we did. We scored 4. What you couldn't write in the script is that our defense would just turn into absolute ass and we concede 4 goals. You know, on another day, we win that game 4-0. So will he do the same tomorrow? My thought is he won't go as aggressive because this isn't the time for playing around. You know, that was a couple of months ago. That was in that December, November, whenever. We're in February now. We're mid-February. Like, we're in a title race. You can't afford to drop points. You can't afford to experiment. But I still think he takes the game to Chelsea because realistically, we should be beating this Chelsea side. Have you seen their away record, Tony?
No, I haven't. I've not looked at their away record. I've seen the recent scores, but I didn't differentiate the home and away.
Yeah, check this out, man. Their away record is super poor. If I go here and go competition, Premier League, and away games only, they've had some poor results away from home. Like if you look at the better teams in the division, you got West Ham on the opening day of the season, lost 3-1. Spurs they won, but if you remember, Spurs were down to 9 men.
Yeah, they were crap Chelsea that day as well.
Yeah, so that was a bit of an outlier, really. They got thrashed off Newcastle, they got beat off Man United, they got beat off Everton, beat off Wolves.
Yeah.
They got absolutely battered off Liverpool. The only one that you can really give them credit for, it's not on here because it's not a Premier League game, was the Villa game. However, I actually thought Villa that day were absolutely shocking. I thought Douglas Luiz and John McGinn were really poor that day. But you still give them credit. They have got it in them to get a win, obviously, as you've seen against Villa. But their away record genuinely is very, very poor. And something that I would say is that they're kind of coming into this game with no pressure. Depending on which side of the coin you're looking at it. You might say, what you're talking about, LB, of course the pressure, the 10th in the division, they need to win the game. They're under huge pressure. Possibly, if you want to look at it like that. Or you could look at it like they are literally under no expectation to win the game. Everyone thinks City are going to win. You know, no one's even watching Chelsea games anymore on watch-alongs because no one cares about what they do. And therefore, they're not under pressure. They could come to City and just play football and play quite well. So you don't really know. And this has kind of been the story of Chelsea season. You don't really know what Chelsea you're going to get, do you?
No, Pep said today that Chelsea is one of the most difficult games we've got left. Now, I know he tends to sort of throw comments out like that and, so-and-so is the best player in the world and all this. But I think he's right. This definitely has a banana skin feel to it. I think we'll win. I think we're the best team and we'll turn up. We'll win. But it definitely has that slight little feel of there's a potential here with that. That is that pace that does me when I look at that pace. But yeah, I still think we'll be too strong. The boys are buzzing. We're getting better every week. We're just looking good, mate, to be honest. And I think now that I've reflected on that lineup a bit more, I definitely think the answer is to have Kovacic in the midfield with De Bruyne and Foden out right. I definitely think that's the answer. Left is still arguable with me. I wouldn't mind Alvarez out there. It's the lineup I think Pep will go with, and I would be all good with that. But then, is it Gusto that plays right for Chelsea, isn't it?
Malo Gusto, he's pretty good, you know.
Yeah, he is good. But is he good defensively, like you said earlier?
This is the problem. One of the problems I've got with Chelsea is because they're the 10th, I've not really watched the games because typically I watch the games that affect my football club, as most people do. If you're Burnley, you're probably going to watch a lot more Luton games, right? Because you want to look at the teams that are in and around the relegation zone. Yeah. So I've not really watched a lot of Chelsea football matches because they're almost irrelevant to me at the moment. You know what I mean? But the games that I have watched, he's very, very good going forward. I don't know about his defensive capabilities. I really don't know.
No, I'm not. I haven't seen like you much of Chelsea. If they're on, they're playing Palace or someone, I'm probably not going to watch it. But no offense to Palace, but yeah, if he's like you said about his attacking, normally you're good at one or the other. So if he is good attacking and not so good at the back, then yeah, then maybe Doku is the answer to absolutely. Plus, it will keep him back to keep an eye on Doku, because you can't leave Doku just flying down one side. So playing Doku would keep Gusto further back than he probably would like it. And if we had Alvarez, perhaps Doku's more of a danger in that sense with the pace. So yeah, I'm very interested to see. I think that lineup will be pretty much spot on, but then it's pet roulette time. You never know. It will me and you we chat sometimes before the game, on messages and stuff. And when we get the lineup, and if we get it early and so on, and he'll have like Nunes and Kovacic in the middle. You sat again, hang on a minute. So you never know with Pep.
I love this comment. Fully expecting a totally different game. Back in November, we had the Bozo gene in full flow.
We did. That's brilliant.
That's hilarious. Big up to Mib. We have to do our weekly Rodri yellow card checker update, because we're all invested in this now. So there's 4 games left until Liverpool away. 4 games. Rodri needs to avoid getting 3 yellow cards in the next 4. Now, if he gets one tomorrow, it's sketchy season. Because then he's got 3 games and he's only allowed 1 yellow in 3 games. When you say it like that, that's not great. But if he gets through tomorrow, we're pretty much chilling, because then he's got 3 games. You'd have to get a yellow card in each one of the games to be able to miss the Liverpool game. So tomorrow, and I know that I've said this a lot, but I genuinely think that tomorrow's the game. If he gets through tomorrow without a yellow card, I think we can pretty much all sit here and be confident and say, this guy's going to be available for that Liverpool game. If he gets a suspension against Chelsea, if he gets a yellow card against Chelsea tomorrow, then it's going to be, you're going to have to be really, really careful in the next 3 games, because he's only allowed 1 yellow out of the next 3 after Chelsea, which is wild.
Yeah, absolutely. Tomorrow's the key one. I remember we were saying last week, if he can get through Everton, wasn't it? And then, it's on there. And then the Chelsea's the big one. This is, if he can get through this, because there is potential for a yellow card, there always is, of course, but there is with Chelsea, like I keep referring to, but the fast break, drag a player down type thing, take a yellow. But he probably will, because he plays every game, but I wouldn't count on Rodri playing Tuesday. I know he's first name with Edison, him and Edison straight in the 11. I wouldn't be so sure against Brentford he'll start, but I'm probably wrong on that one. But yeah, I think if he avoids it tomorrow, we should be okay, hopefully, just looking at those fixtures down there. It's Anfield. The other games, Arsenal, obviously, we want him round for that, but yeah, it's Anfield. It all comes to Anfield. Even the Rags at home, we obviously want him. We always want him. But if it's United or Liverpool, I'll have him missing against United. Do not want him out at Anfield. Absolutely not. That is crucial that day.
Yeah, I think we've got to be prepared that he's likely to miss a big game. Yeah, you know what I mean. He's likely to miss Brighton, Arsenal, or Villa. He's going to miss probably 2 of those games.
I think.
But this is why I've seen a good comment in the chat, and who was it? Alvida Zayn, big up Alvida Zayn said could be more of a reason to play Kovacic tomorrow. And I know there's a lot of people in the chat that are not massive fans of Kovacic. Maybe think he doesn't really do a lot, but he, if you play Kovacic a little bit deeper, then there is a little bit less pressure on Rodri to make those challenges, and he might be able to just get away without taking that yellow card. You know what I mean? So I think that Kovacic tomorrow, I'd be surprised if Kovacic doesn't play. How long has he been back in training, Tone? Do we know?
Kovacic, Thursday, I think he was back. So it's Friday. Yeah. So he's only on his 2nd session. So that is
not ideal.
It's not ideal. It's not ideal at all, is it? That I still think he's not been out that long, so I think he should be hopefully ready to go. He did take a little bit of time last time, but he was out far longer last time, and it did take. You could see he was still getting back to full speed. I'll be honest, Kovacic has put in 2 of our best performances of the season, in my opinion. He was Newcastle at home at the start of the season, and then one more recently. I'll be honest, I should know this. It's possibly Tottenham. He was absolutely unbelievable, and it is his old team tomorrow, Chelsea. So what team do you want to impress against and make a point against? Your old team. So I would have Kovacic in there. I think he offers a hell of a lot. I think he's pretty good defensively. He's quicker than he looks as well. So yeah, I think he's top player, Kovacic. I think he's really good, really good player. Could be key tomorrow. But Rodri will be playing, definitely be playing tomorrow. There'll be no Kovacic in for him or anything like that. Rodri's playing, please.
Yeah. Just before we wrap up, some interesting breaking news coming out about Liverpool. And listen, I'll never celebrate injuries, but this is something we're going to have to speak about because he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. A lot of people consider him the best goalkeeper in the world. Breaking news coming from Anything Liverpool Twitter page. They've got 275,000 followers. If you think that helps, like in terms of their credibility, but they're reporting that they've got exclusive news that Alisson Becker, the goalkeeper, is out with a hamstring injury. Now, hamstrings is a bit dodgy. Like, you know, he could be out for a week, 2 weeks. He could be out for a month, 2 months. So we've seen, for example, with like Doku, when he just never seemed to come back. That's huge, man. He's a fantastic goalkeeper. And am I right in saying Trent's out with a hamstring injury as well? Is that true? I believe.
Yeah, he's out for. I think he's out for a few weeks. Trent. So that's a loss.
Tough one to take, that, innit? Bloody hell.
Alisson's a big miss because he's as good a keeper as there is. He's instrumental to the way they play. It's confidence for that defence. Yeah, that is a huge loss for Liverpool. You could argue that's the biggest loss they can have. So, like you said, don't wish injuries. Definitely not. But him being out is a big plus for us. And
of course, yeah, 100%. We know that. The lucky thing for Liverpool is they've got 3 winnable games coming up now. Now, you know. And I say winnable in terms of they should win them. Obviously, they're still kind of tough. You know, Brentford away, you know, anything could happen there.
Yeah.
Luton at home, as good as Luton have been, I think they're a better team at home rather than away. And then Forest away, maybe, you know what I mean? Yeah. Forest could do something on the day. They've done it a couple of times, but
they have.
You know, well, anyway, let's see what happens.
Yeah, Forest beat Liverpool and Arsenal, didn't they, last year at Forest?
They beat Arsenal because we won the league there, didn't we?
I thought they beat Forest a week after Liverpool beat us or drew with us or something.
Yes, that's right. That's correct.
Because they're all giving it, you know, and then they went and lost to Forest.
Yeah, because it was, I'll tell you what happened. Liverpool were on some arse run. They done the standard thing of beating us, and then they went to Forest and lost. And it was just like, yeah, of course that happens. Of course that happens.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, you'd fancy Liverpool to win them. But you know, to Forest and Brentford away is not easy, especially without your keeper. But Salah's back, isn't he? So, yeah.
This is the final. Yeah, very good point. Very good point. Yeah. Anything else that you wanted to speak about, football wise, about the game tomorrow? Anything before we wrap up, Tom? Oh, by the way, anyone in the chat got any questions? Anything that you want us to speak about before we wrap up? Anything, Tom?
No. Just transfer season will be upon us soon, so then I'm sure that'll be good fun. I've seen us being linked with X, Y, and Z.
You know what? I've seen some transfer news today. We've been linked with Sesko. Why are we linked with him? Isn't he a striker?
Yeah, the Leipzig player. Is he Leipzig?
Yeah, Leipzig. Yeah, Sesko. I'm sure he's a striker, isn't he?
I'm getting him muddled up with Olmo. Somebody said to me about Sesko, and I said, City looked at him last year, but I've got the wrong player there.
Yeah, Benjamin Sesko is a striker. I'm sure we've done a watch along or something. So, and everyone was like, LB, check this guy Sesko out. He's absolutely beast. He's only 20 years old. I was like, I've never heard of him, but apparently we linked with him for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know where the link comes from, but yeah, that's new one on me. I know the player. I know he's very good and he's very well thought, highly sort of thought of, and he will get a bigger club move for sure. But I've not heard anything about City being in, other than what you've seen as well. Yeah, I got muddled up with Olmo. Is it Olmo?
Danny Olmo. Yeah, we were linked with him, and apparently City did contact Leipzig about him, but they said they basically said because they'd already let Gvardiol go and Zoboszlai, because I think he was at the same club, that they said they can't really sell a third. Is the sort of exactly that. That is fair enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see City going, maybe having another look at him. Why not? Go in there, have another look. They do like him. They've scouted him. There were reports last summer. So, yeah, Olmo could be one they would certainly look at. I'd be surprised with a striker, unless Haaland's going, which he isn't. So, but it's just to say, actually, on the summer, it's actually a bigger summer internally for City because we've got Haaland's contract that needs sorting fairly soon. Pep's contract, that needs sorting. De Bruyne's going to sign up. I don't think there's any problem on that one. That'll get sorted. So he hasn't yet, but I'm sure that one will be fine. De Bruyne one doesn't concern me. It's the Haaland one, we don't want to get to the end of the summer and things are still... Because has he got 2 years after the summer? Is that right? Has he got
Who's that?
Years left? Haaland, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's 2027, isn't it?
Right. Oh, that'd be free then.
Yeah. But you're right. You got to get these guys. Yeah, 2027. You've got to get these guys signed up on a new deal, man. As soon as it gets to 2 years, because this is the thing. People say, "Oh, it's only 3 years. What are you panicking about?" Yeah, but 3 years quickly becomes 2 years, and then as soon as you get down to 2 years, what happens then is clubs start sniffing around and saying, "Well, hang on a minute. If you don't sign a contract this year, because obviously it's 2 years." We'll come in for you next year when it's 1 year, and we'll be in a massive, strong negotiating position because the club's only got 1 year. So, listen, time goes by very quickly. These seasons go by very quickly, and 3 years, these days is not a lot. You've got to be getting Haaland, for me, signed up until 2029, man. Get him on a big deal.
Yeah, and get Pep done. We want him to extend, even if it's just a year for now. Get him to the 10 years. There was another name I was thinking, Oscar Bob. He'll probably sign up shortly. And John Stones is another one to keep an eye out because I think he's till 26. And obviously he has injury things, but he's got a couple of years left. So I think they'll extend that by a year as well, or at least one more. But I think they'll extend John Stones by a year this summer. But yeah, I think, like I was saying, internally is bigger than externally in terms of sorting contracts and players out. City need to sort stuff out in-house before they go doing stuff outside. But, sorry, I know we're going over the time a bit, but just to quickly say is I know the Champions League's changing and people say, we need a bigger squad, and that's fine. So we'll probably get another 1 or 2 in. But we really don't need that much. Unless Bernie goes, the squad, we've mentioned it before, is amazing. It's an amazing squad.
Yeah, you probably just need to add 1 or 2 max, right? You don't need to do and don't need to add too much more. No. Right, cool. Listen, guys, I hope you enjoyed the Tone show. Slightly different time this week of 5 p.m. I'll be back tomorrow. The good news is that I can actually do play-alongs for both games tomorrow now. I did have something on tomorrow. I wasn't going to be able to do the Liverpool game, but I'm going to be able to watch Liverpool. I'm going to be able to watch Arsenal. But these games, people, are going to be on More LB, the second channel. Now, the link's in the description. Go subscribe to More LB, the second channel, yeah? Or you can just go on YouTube and type in More LB. While you're there, watch the recent video I did where I cooked one of the hottest curries in the world. Go and check that one out. I'll be live tomorrow on More LB. And then, of course, the main event, Manchester City taking on Chelsea at the Etihad Stadium. I'll be live from 4:30 UK time with all the pre-game build-up. But from me and Tone, we'll say thank you. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Make sure you follow Tone on Twitter at MCFC Tone. I will catch you in the next one. See you later, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.